Hey everybody, it's Mason Tepesky here. I'm back with you for part 2 of my podcast, and today we are going to discuss all the games in the NFL this week. I told you we were going to do that in my last video, which I went 2 months into that, I think. That one was supposed to be more about the Steeler game, which they did beat Buffalo in. I won't talk about that game in this podcast because we talked about that game in the earlier podcast mostly. So if you want to, you could view that video last podcast if you want. But let me get into who I think impressed team-wise, who I think impressed player-wise, and a weekly whip around of today's NFL. So we're going to start off, obviously, with the 1 o'clock games. But hold on a second. First off, sorry, I take that back. Actually, we'll start off with Thursday night's game, the Cowboys and the Buccaneers, since we didn't get a chance to talk about that one yet. The Buccaneers did not look all that great compared to Dallas. It took till the very end for Dallas to lose to Tampa. Or for the Buccaneers to win. I'm sorry about that. They could have done better, if you ask me. The Buccaneers. Their defense didn't do nearly enough. Dak Prescott came back from an injury and had a phenomenal day. Despite Ezekiel Elliott doing nothing, this team came awfully close to knocking off the champs in their home opener on their home field. And that's a big deal. Tom Brady could have done much better. And that's hard to say. It's very rare you get to say that. But the Cowboys have a terrific wide receiver core. Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb are the real deal. They're both going to have a good year. And that's going to be not a bad division after all. Staying in that division, we move on now to today's 1 o'clock games with the Eagles and the Falcons. Man, did Philly look good. If this is truly a rebuilding year, then Philly, you're going to have another good team in a couple of years. For real. Jalen Hurts might be your real deal. Devonta Smith is definitely your real deal. Miles Sanders is a great running back. Philly has the team to do something special. They have 2 possibly free first-round picks this coming year. If Philly finds a way to win 4, even 5 more games this year, then they have a chance in a couple years to be something special. If this was truly supposed to be a rebuilding year. If you're Philly and you want to truly shake things up, you beat San Francisco next week. Which is a true and a real possibility right now. The Falcons looked horrible, though. That's a team that truly needs to rebuild. They don't want to rebuild. But I feel like they're going to have to. They have no running back. Calvin Ridley is a good receiver, but he's young and he can't do it all. Matt Ryan is no longer the answer at quarterback for Atlanta. They have got to draft a quarterback in this upcoming class. He's not your answer, and he's not going to get you very far. Moving on now to the next game, which is in the Steelers division, actually. The Bengals beating the Vikings. I see that as a stunner because I saw the Bengals winning only 1 game the whole year in my preseason predictions. And that game didn't come until week 4 when they played Jacksonville. So yeah, it's a tough loss for Minnesota and an embarrassing one. You have Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, and Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, and plus Adam Phelan, or whatever, however you pronounce it too. You have good players. Cook, Jefferson, Phelan, they're good. Kirk Cousins is overpaid and overrated. For sure. The Vikings seriously need to consider either A, trying to turn Kellen Mond into a long-term starter, or B, drafting a quarterback in 2022, because this cannot continue for Minnesota. They play at Arizona next week, which is pretty much, if you want to say, a loss, because Arizona looked terrific today in a game they were supposed to lose. And I will get in a game they were supposed to lose, they looked terrific. In a game the Vikings were supposed to win, they looked ugly. Now for the Bengals, this could be a turning point. You remember how bad they were 2 years ago. They got their guy, though. They got a good one. They rebuilt wisely. They have the pieces now, and they have the structure to be competitive. They could start. This could be a turning point. Sorry, I'm just all screwed up with words and stuff. This could be a turning point for Cincinnati. They play at Chicago next week. If they win that, or if they find a way to win that, they're 2-0. And if Pittsburgh finds a way to beat Las Vegas next week, which they should, surprisingly, you have two 2-0 teams in the Bengals and the Steelers potentially going up against each other. Now on to up to Detroit. The 49ers had the Lions' number for most of the game. Then the Lions found some way or another to come back. Detroit's not going to be as bad as a lot of people think. They'll find ways to stay in games. They definitely will. San Francisco should worry a little bit right now. And Trey Sermon, now that Raheem Mostert's injured, Trey Sermon could make an impact here in the coming weeks. But I feel like the team needs to see how next week goes with Philly for sure. That's a definite. If you beat the Eagles with Jimmy G as quarterback, and I think next week you have got to start Jimmy G as your quarterback, because next week's going to tell you his future. If the 49ers come into Philly and beat the Eagles, then maybe Jimmy G is the answer for a little while longer. If the Eagles find a way to win next week, then I feel like you have to gradually begin the process of transitioning to Trey Lance as your starter. Because the Lions were not projected to be very good. They're going to find ways to win games this year, but they're not going to be very good. So I feel like you either A, need to invest in a better defense, or B, you need to up your offense, because you cannot be winning games by 8 points over a team like this. Jared Goff was pretty good. Jimmy G, his passer rating, his complete percentage should be high, but he didn't exactly score a lot of touchdowns. And that's understandable, because this is a running team, and they ran well. So as long as they keep running, they'll be good. Now on to Cardinals Titans, and Kyler Murray is the real deal in Arizona. I didn't expect him to light it up like this, and really nobody should have. I expected the Titans to definitely win this game. They got beat dead. And now who knows how good the Tennessee Titans will be. Because I didn't expect Arizona to be that good. But guess what? Arizona's going to be really good. Kyler Murray's the answer, I think, for them. He has a chance at MVP. These are not overreactions. This is really happening. And he can show you what he's worth. And I think he's going to have a great week next week. And I think that he might very well easily lead this team to the division championship and be a Super Bowl contender. He has the pieces to do so. They've invested in him, and he is serious about this team. He is serious about this sport, and he will be an MVP contender. So keep an eye on Kyler Murray. That's for sure. Seahawks beat the Colts. I'm not going to get into that one much because I didn't really follow that game. The Colts have work to do, but they'll still be a legitimate contender in the South. And obviously the Seahawks, Russell Wilson, he's a good quarterback, and he'll do well. The Chargers beat Washington in a thriller, and with all the hype surrounding Washington, I was a little surprised with this one. But Justin Herbert is going to have a good year. He's going to be a solid quarterback, and he has everything right now. The coaching staff is right, and they're making good decisions for him. And this team's going to be legitimate. Jets and Panthers, this game was just a mess. During the draft, like February, March, April, leading up to the draft, the months leading up to it, I was not high on Zach Wilson. I told people that Zach Wilson is so overrated. I didn't like him. I thought he was picked way too high. By no means was he a Joe Burrow, and he proved me right today. He looked pathetic today. He has so much work to do. And how about this for a fact? Sam Darnold outplayed him. Sam Darnold outplayed the guy who replaced him, the flashy guy who replaced him in New York. That's a statement for Sam Darnold. I give him a lot of credit for that move. The Jets seriously need to look at who's making decisions there, because they will not be a legitimate contender anytime soon. Robert Saleh has a lot of work to do, and I like Robert Saleh a lot. And I think Zach Wilson is for sure a flashy quarterback. And personally, that's part of why I like him, but not as a player. I like his personality. I like his jersey. I like his colors. I like his attitude and stuff, but I don't like him as a player because he is not a very good player. That's my opinion. Carolina, though, looked good. They're going to be good. And Matt Rule is a very good head coach. A very good head coach. And he was the right man to lead this mission. Texans beat the Jaguars today, and this was a shock. Trevor Lawrence might not be the answer, Jacksonville. I know you don't want to hear it, but I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Trevor Lawrence, personally, could have done much better today. He looked poor. He looked poor in the preseason. He looked really poor today. He threw as many touchdowns as interceptions. Sometimes I didn't think he knew what he was doing. And for all the people saying the Texans are the worst team, they're so bad, and they will not be good, they made a statement, and basically, they held something up to you. I'm not going to say it, but they held something up to you. And they know, and you know, they're going to be good in a couple years. If they just make the right decisions. They could be good now. But today, they held something up to you. And I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get in trouble with anyone. They held something up to you. And they said, you know what? We're going to go out there and win a game. We're going to put all the drama aside, and we're going to go out there and win a game. And that is how you have to be as a football team. And I give Dave Culley a lot of credit for that. And if you just continue that mentality, you will not be a bad football team. You might win 4 or 5 games if you're Houston. And that's not bad compared to where you were rated. Chiefs beat the Browns. That was a terrific game today. Baker impressed. Mahomes impressed. Everybody really impressed that game. And I actually feel bad for Cleveland because they lost a game in which they could have very well won. And that would have been a statement win. for the Cleveland Browns. So I give them a lot of credit, and they'll be good this year. Kansas City made mistakes. They could have done better. We'll have to see next week how they do in Baltimore, but they could have done much better. Dolphins barely beat the Patriots. I didn't get to see much of this game. It was a good game, but it seemed like a boring game to me, so not much to say on that one. I mean, the Dolphins are going to be competitive, and the Patriots later in the year will get it down. Saints blew out the Packers today, big time in Jacksonville. Obviously, we know why that game was moved, and my thoughts and prayers are with the state of Louisiana and the New Orleans community and all those that were impacted by this hurricane. So my thoughts and prayers are with you. And the Saints did it for Louisiana. I was so hoping they won this game for them, the state, and they did. So good job, New Orleans. I give you a lot of credit. And you're not going to be as bad as people think, so you'll be okay. And then as expected, the Broncos beat the Giants. The big thing out of this was the Jerry Jeudy injury. He was on one of my fantasy teams. He's on the bench, though, so I'll have to see what I'm going to do with him, but my prayers are for him, and I hope he gets better soon. Denver is going to be okay this year. The league is ever-changing, and we'll continue to follow it as the year goes along. Next Sunday, though, I have work, so this will have to be done on Monday. All 3 videos will be done on Monday. There will be a Steelers recap Monday, a weekly update of all the games, and also I will have the normal Monday podcast. So take care, and and remember, there's the Steelers podcast there, and then there will be another podcast tomorrow. So take care, enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow. God bless.